Behind every great man
is a great, confident, exceptional woman.
Hi, and welcome to Behind Every Great Man. I am Jessica, your host. Behind every great man is a great woman who poured herself out for others and is gently finding her way back home. Today is really an invitation for any woman who's ever felt like she drifted away from the person she used to be. So often we can talk about losing ourselves in a negative light, as if it's a failure or a flaw or something went wrong. But today, I want to offer a new perspective. I want to reframe this. This episode is for the woman who might be wondering, how did I get so far from who I used to be? And is that part of me still there? Let's explore this together. Let's talk about it. I want to say this first, clearly and without hesitation. Losing yourself was not the problem. It never was. Because most women don't lose themselves out of neglect. They lose themselves out of love, out of responsibility, out of loyalty, out of necessity. They lose themselves while holding their family together, while adapting to seasons that required more from her than she ever expected. So if you're listening and thinking, I don't even recognize myself anymore, nothing is wrong. That's not the problem. What can become the problem is staying lost long after the season that required it has passed. I talk about losing our identity in a previous episode, I think episode number 4. Losing ourselves doesn't mean we were weak, that something went wrong along the way. It means we were responsive. Psychologist Carol Gilligan's research shows that women's sense of self is often deeply tied to care for others. And that is a moral strength we have, not a weakness. We responded to what was needed from us, what was expected of us. We became what the moment required. But staying lost happens because she never gave herself permission to return to herself. This episode is for the woman who learned to manage everything and now doesn't know how to rest inside her own life. It's for the woman who had no room to fall apart, the wife who carries enormous weight, the woman who is waiting, holding, keeping life steady. It's for the woman who looks fine from the outside, but inside feels a quiet desperation. And it's for the woman who doesn't even remember when she disappeared, only that one day she woke up and thought, when did everything become about holding it all together? Losing yourself can happen because you needed to focus fully on others, on your family, on your partner. So you quieted parts of yourself that might disrupt stability. Your curiosity gets tucked away. Your desires get postponed. Your needs get minimized, not because they don't matter, but because something else is more urgent. The demands of raising children, because life and all of its to-dos and obligations and responsibilities get so loud and so big, your needs and your wants and your desires can't help but take a back seat. And you can think to yourself, this is temporary. And most times it is, except sometimes temporary stretches longer than expected. And one day, when the season shifts, your kids become more independent, life isn't pressing down on your shoulders as much, the season changes, but do you? It can look like going through the motions without joy, like love without aliveness. It looks like a woman who can do everything, but doesn't feel like she's inside her life anymore. And over time, Staying lost creates quiet symptoms. You feel irritable more easily. You feel resentful without knowing why. Psychologist Stephen Porges, I hope I'm saying that right, explains that when we stay in a prolonged state of responsibility and vigilance, our nervous system shifts into survival mode. And in survival mode, we begin to feel disconnected from our body, our creativity, our sensuality, our voice, because you've been offline for so long. I know that this happened to me after having my son. That's why I started this podcast. I literally sat with myself. What is it that I like? What is it that I want to do? What brings me joy? And it was speaking and expressing. I was doing my meditations over the pandemic, and I wanted to continue doing it. So this podcast is a testament to how I got lost and how I'm finding myself again. Coming back to yourself isn't a reinvention. This part matters. Coming back to yourself does not mean blowing up your life. It doesn't mean neglecting your family, your marriage, your responsibilities. And it definitely doesn't mean coming into a new version of yourself overnight. That's just not possible. Coming back to yourself most of the time is subtle. It starts with noticing, with listening, with allowing yourself to feel curious again. It starts with asking questions like, what do I miss? Not from my old life, but from myself. What would feel nourishing to me instead of what's practical? Not thinking about anyone else. What interests me? What lights me up? What brings me joy? Erik Erikson said, identity is never established once and for all. That's the beauty. Our identity, who we are, is always evolving. So we just got to go back to the drawing board and take a look at who we are now. Here's a gentle truth. You don't come back to yourself in one moment. There's no grandiose moment or ceremony when you realize, this is who I am. No, you come back in 1-degree moments that I speak about, in small permissions, in tiny acts of honesty. You come back the first time you say, actually, that doesn't work for me. When you stop apologizing for needing time and space to yourself. You come back to yourself when you stop pretending you're fine when you're not. You come back when you let yourself want something again and not feel guilty for it. There is a unique courage required to re-enter your own life because coming back, listen to this and hear me when I say this, it means feeling again, feeling everything again. When life isn't just about schedules and appointments and who needs a ride and what everyone else wants and needs, all the logistics of life, we open ourselves back up to feeling deeply. It means letting the numbness soften and fade away. It means risking disappointment, desire, longing, hope, letting it all back in. Researcher Brené Brown reminds us that vulnerability is the birthplace of joy, creativity, and connection, but it also exposes us to disappointment and pain. And many women unconsciously stay lost because numbness feels safer. It feels safer than risking what it means to feel fully alive again, to open ourselves back up again, to feel it all. Staying lost doesn't just cost you, it quietly costs your relationships too, because the people who love you don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be here. And being here begins when you let yourself come back into your own life. If you feel these words deeply, if this resonates with you and you're the exact woman that I'm talking to right now, I want you to pause here. Close your eyes if you can. Take a deep breath in. Exhale it out slowly and listen to these words. Let me offer you this invitation, sister. You are allowed to come back now. It doesn't have to be all the way. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be honest. You are allowed to take up space again, emotionally, creatively, energetically. You are allowed to remember who you were before everything became about holding it all together, and to integrate her with who you are now. Because the woman you were then and the woman you are now are meant to meet. Let yourself acknowledge this. It is beautiful how selflessly you show up for others, how much you give, how deeply you care. Acknowledge the woman you've been, the one who showed up even when it cost her parts of herself. Losing yourself was never a failure, sister. It was devotion. And if something inside you feels ready now to come back to yourself, it's simply because that same devotion for others is beginning to turn back toward you. What's needed now is time and space. Space for you to come home to yourself again. Behind every great man is a great woman who poured herself out for others and is gently finding her way back home. Thanks for taking the time to join me in listening to this podcast episode. You can find more episodes of Behind Every Great Man on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if this spoke to you, please subscribe, and why not share it with your girlfriends? Thanks again, and please join me on the next episode.